What's up, everybody? This is JOEcade. I'm here with Charles Picardi. We're at Retro World. It isn't often that you find incredible video game masters walking freely in the world, but here you will, and we've got one with us, and his forte, his jam, if you will, is Mortal Kombat 2. Now, I pride myself, Vito knows this, I pride myself on as being a pretty good gamer. When I say Charles mopped me, did he mop me, Vito, or what?
No comment?
He mopped me.
No comment.
No comment. It's funny because leading into the interview, I told Vito, don't mention it, but no. He's been in major, numerous tournaments. He is an incredible Mortal Kombat 2 gamer. Charles, welcome to Perfect Storm Gaming.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Now, Charles, tell us a little bit about how, before we get into where you are now, I want to know here, how did it start? How did you get into Mortal Kombat 2? Did it first start with MK1? Go for it.
It started with MK1, but it started in '93, not '92. When my cousin brought over his Sega Genesis to play Mortal Kombat 1.
The better port, the better version, as you know.
Yes, the correct port, the better one.
Correct.
The one without the sweat.
That's right. The sand.
But that's where the bug bit me. That's where I got the bite, and that's where I started when I was a mere 8 years old.
And started with MK1.
Started with MK1. 2 follows up, and I hadn't played it again for a number of years. It came and went from its original arcade release from the time it was really popular. But then sometime in the mid-2000s, I picked it up again. And realized, I've got a knack for this. So I just kept grinding at it. From learning how the AI works, to what a human player can do, even going as far as memorizing the EJB menu inputs.
Now this is why I'm so impressed by this, because I can beat MK2 with the kick trick. You know, a lot of people have seen that, and this guy, again, destroyed me.
Well, it's on Arcade Crash episode 2.
It's on our episode, and even with all,
He does a playthrough of it.
even with all of my tricks, the point I'm making isn't to build me up, but even the point I'm making is, I gave this guy a trick, every trick in the trade, and he handled me pretty good. Now, the great Tobias and Boon create Mortal Kombat 2. Are you first in line now? You're already an experienced gamer who played MK1. Do you immediately get into that? And when you get into it, is it the console that you get into it, or do you go to get into it by the arcades?
I saw it first in the arcade, but I was not first in line. I would have been not more than 8 years old at the time. So it was very different. It was a very different game for me back then. I was down here before I was up here, both height and in skill. But I was always in the arcade back then when I was a kid, because you and we grew up in the arcade Renaissance era.
Thank you. Now we're best friends.
Kindred spirit right there, buddy.
Now me and Charles, now it's official, we're best friends. Go ahead.
That was in the coin-op boom era, which
Frenemies, the best friends.
we got a huge.
No, it was never enemies with the guy.
Frenemies.
I walked away going like this, but you can marvel at someone. Go ahead. So you started in the arcade. I don't want to hear.
Down here.
Yeah.
Came up here, played it at home to some extent on Super NES, like most of us did.
Because now it's got blood.
Came and went through my life, got back into it around the mid-2000s at an arcade in, get this, Hampton Beach, New Hampshire. They had an MK2 on the floor. And I thought, what the heck, I'll throw a quarter into it, like old times. That's when I figured out I had a knack for it more than I thought I did. So I just kept practicing. I kept playing it, learning the AI, learning the computer's behavior, learning what a human player can do, what the computer player can do, how to bait the computer, the size of the hitboxes, the size of the attack boxes. It came down to the nitty and gritty.
The silo CPU, you know, in MK2, after the third fighter, it's pretty much impossible.
Yeah, it pretty much cranked very hard after the third fighter on the roster.
This was a coin they wanted kids to keep paying for it. So unfairly, they made Mortal Kombat 2 impossible, unless you know some types of hacks and tricks. Now, do you know the kick trick and some of the hacks?
Yes, you have to bait the computer.
Very good.
Once you know how to bait the computer into what you want it to do, it's foolproof. You can
And
win it
here's the
time.
$1 million question, because this is a small bucket of folks. Have you beaten MK2 in the arcade?
Yes.
Okay.
On the hardest difficulty.
Wow.
I'll even set it that way for the AJB menu. I'm sure you've talked about that, right?
Of course.
Yeah.
Now we're getting into tournaments, and you're a guy that plays them like this. Do people marvel over you when you're in these tournaments? Do they give you the same reaction as I do?
Honestly, no. You're actually quite a rare gem for me when you reacted the way you did.
Well, I appreciate greatness.
Yes. Well, when a Mortal Kombat 2 tournament does come around, I'm first in line to sign up.
I know it.
But it doesn't happen very often because it's been 30 years. So for how many of us are still here, there aren't many of us left now.
You're right.
Yeah.
That's a really good point.
We're now on Tekken 8. We're now on Smash Ultimate. We have other Mortal Kombats that we're having tournaments for. We've got Street Fighter 6. That's not to take away from how great MK2 is, but every game, every piece of media has its time. And it's come and went now. So when there's not many of us left, including myself, but I'm still here, still playing it.
So now we're at Mortal Kombat 1, we're at Mortal Kombat 2. Now if we're continuing the timeline, let's get to MK3. This is a polarizing question.
It is.
Are you a fan of MK3, yay or nay?
I like 3. I like the combo system. I like the
we're best friend. I know where he's going already.
I like the extra special moves. A couple things kind of dipped for me with 3. A lot of classic characters at the time got omitted from the roster.
Before Ultimate.
But they brought them back. And what really made it hokey for me was the fatalities. Just the motion of taking off somebody's head in 2.
Brutal. Oh, yeah.
You believe it. You buy it. You knock off their head in 3.
That's a great point.
You knock their head off in 3, you don't buy it as much.
That's true. That
doesn't take away from the gameplay. The combos are still there. The special moves are still there. The roster is still there. The gameplay is all there. But 3 didn't choose me the way 2 did, if that makes sense.
That's really well done. Yeah.
Yeah.
I always thought 2 took everything MK1 did and made it better. And by the time you play MK3, it just in a lot of ways felt like you were playing a totally different game.
In ways, yes. In ways, yes. For better or for worse.
Final question. Is this just a Mortal Kombat knack you have, or are you a great gamer beyond Mortal Kombat series?
I do.
Are you a Street Fighter guy? Are you
not so much as I am a Mortal Kombat guy. I'll play Street Fighter, I'll bait the computer, I'll play a human opponent, but I don't know it the way I know Mortal Kombat 2. That was the game that picked me.
Bonus question. Do you think you could learn Street Fighter 2 like you did Mortal Kombat 2?
If I love it enough to do it, I could. But I don't love it as much as I do Mortal Kombat 2. I like Street Fighter 2 a lot, but I don't love it as much as MK2 does. If that makes any sense to you.
His name is Charles Picardi, and we are going to, he doesn't know this, we're going to surprise him by putting him to the test of pressure. People know that when you play a game with pressure versus when you play a game alone, when no one's looking, you're a totally different beast.
Right.
So we're ending this interview where Vito's going to get up and literally follow us to play one more, just one more, you versus me, okay. Under pressure.
Under pressure.
Here we go.
Let's go. Now, do we pick our characters or do we want to random? We're going to random. Okay. And if you don't know at home, if you want to do random, the code, hold up, press start. Okay, here we go.
Good luck.
Thanks.
It's real. Charles Picardi. Cut. That was great, dude.